Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for another episode of Concealer Fest, and today I'm going to check out the much hyped e.l.f. 16-hour Camo Concealer. This retails for $5 for 0.2 ounces of product. It's currently getting 3.9 out of 5 stars with a little over 300 reviews on Ulta's website. I picked this up in 2 shades, Fair Warm and Fair Rose. I'm expecting Fair Rose to be the one for me. This comes in 18 different shades. It's described as the most full coverage long wear formula ever. Camouflage those pesky spots and under eye circles with this high coverage, crease resistant 16-hour wear Camo Concealer. This creamy, dreamy formula glides on to help conceal dark circles and blemishes, and it can also be used to highlight and contour the face. e.l.f., of course, is cruelty-free. Checking out the ingredients here, this looks like a dimethicone-based concealer. I do not see any additional fragrance added, so we do have some avocado oil, and that's about all the interesting things I see there. So let's take a look at these concealers swatched against a few others in my collection. Let's swatch. First up, I've got the e.l.f. Camo Concealers. The first swatch is shade Fair Rose. The second is Fair Warm. Third swatch is the Maybelline Age Rewind in shade Ivory, the lightest shade. The fourth swatch is the ColourPop No Filter Concealer in shade Fair 08. Next, I've got the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in shade C3. And last, I've got the Maybelline Fit Me in shade 10 Light. I've got my regular skincare and foundation on. I have typically dry under eyes. They get dehydrated very easily, which makes them look crepey because I do have some fine lines there. I've got dark circles that extend all the way up here into this trough that I like to cover up. I think I'm going to start with the Fair Rose shade. This looks to be like a Tarte Shape Tape dupe in terms of the giant doe foot applicator. We'll do one side with a sponge and one with a brush just to see if there's a difference one way or the other. This might even be a little too light for me. That is a good problem to have. It's blended out pretty easily with the sponge, but it is kind of grabbing on my fine lines right under my eye. So let's see how that does. Let's give it a minute to sit and do the other side. I'm preferring the sponge. I'm getting a lot of brush strokes. It seems just like a little too thick to blend out with a brush. Let me tap this out with the sponge and see where we get. Yeah, that's much better. Definitely prefer the sponge with this one. I'm going to try to get just a little more coverage where I'm the most purple. This is a pretty tacky feeling formula. More tacky than creamy, I would say. Let's zoom in and take a look at this one. It is not really smoothing out the lines under my eyes. Instead, it's settling into even the microest micro lines, which you can't really tell that it's settling unless my face stretches out a little bit. But the way that it's settling is almost like keeping the wrinkles separated so that you can see them. I'm having a hard time describing this, but I see every little line underneath my eyes, and that is not a cute look. This is a little bit too bright for me, though I can make this work once I get some bronzer and highlight and things on. But I am not a fan of how this is making my under eye look, and I feel like I'm not quite full coverage either. I'm still seeing quite a bit of purple coming through, so that is, not the biggest fan right now. Let's check the time, 3:16. Let me put the rest of my face on and see if we can make this any better. Here we go with the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. My under eyes just look a little bit dry and all of the lines are accentuated. It looks very liney. It doesn't look very smooth at all, and I need smoothing to happen. I need help from my products to smooth out my under eye. So I'm not a huge fan of how it looks right now. I will wear this. We will go to the end of the night and then we'll see how it does. 11:45 p.m. That puts us at 8 hours and 15 minutes, 8 hours and some change. Let's see how the e.l.f. 16-hour concealer held up. First of all, it's a little bit drying. My under eyes feel pretty dry, and this foundation that I'm wearing does not feel drying, therefore it's really noticeable under my eyes. So I would say if you have very dry under eyes, this might not be the one for you. On the upside, if we take a look, I do feel like not much has changed since first application. The lines that were visible are still visible, but I don't think we've lost a whole lot of coverage. I think it's pretty close to what it was when we started out, and I don't think anything has really changed in terms of the lines looking any worse than they did. No additional product has settled into the lines, so I feel like when you put this concealer down, what it looks like is how it stays, and that is good news if you like how it looks when you put it down. And if you don't like how it looks when you put it down, it seems like you're kind of stuck with that all day. So it's one of those things where I have a feeling that if you don't have a lot of fine lines under your eyes yet, you might really like this concealer. I think if you don't have dry skin, you might like it, because I can see it's a nice, decent concealer with a good amount of coverage. I don't think I would call it full coverage, but it's got a good amount of coverage and good longevity compared to some others that I have worn. But for dry skin and mature skin, I'm just not sure it's gonna pass muster. But it's also only $5, and you can usually get sales and things like that to make it even less expensive. So it's one of those things where it's going to be hit or miss, is my guess. And I would recommend at this price point, go ahead and try it out if you're in the market for a new concealer. It's not the best on me, but it might work for you. So if I had to give a grade to the e.l.f. 16-hour Camo Concealer for dry and maturing skin, I'm going to go C-. It's not a disaster. It's a little low end of average because I think you can still see some fine lines. I think it is slightly drying. It's not a total mess. It held up really well. I was moving out in humidity, sweating a bit today. So, I mean, I did a bit of work with my face. Well, not work with my face, but I did some work and I had my face on me at the time. So, yeah, I'm going to go C-. Gonna go C- on this one. I'm actually somewhat curious to try a darker shade and see if that minimizes the look of lines at all, because sometimes just the act of brightening too much can make me see my under eye lines a little bit more. At this price point, I can try that. So I'll keep you guys posted. If anything changes, I will let you know in a future follow-up video. But we're going C- today. So there is the e.l.f. 16-hour Camo Concealer. Try it. It's average in my book. We'll see how it is for everyone else. Let me know. Have you tried it? Did it work for you? Let us know down in the comments. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.